الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Yesterday we mentioned something very important about the meaning of ta'wil. What is the meaning of ta'wil according to the Qur'an? Can anyone remember? I said there are two meanings, not a third one. Two only. What? Interpretation. Interpretation, that's first. Second, al-aqibah. The consequence, the fulfillment, the result of what have been prophesied, foretold. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, هَلْ يَنظُرُونَ إِلَّا تَأْوِيلًا. Will they not wait but for the fulfillment of what Allah had told them about? And as Yusuf said, يَا أَبَتِ هَذَا تَأْوِيلُ رُؤْيَايَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. Oh my father, this is the fulfillment of the vision I saw in my dream. قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا. Allah had made it truth. Is that correct? We said that the people of fallacy, people of falsehood, they use Islamic terms such as ta'wil. The word ta'wil is mentioned in the Qur'an. The problem is that they give it special agreed meaning between them, special kind of meaning, which is not the meaning of the Qur'an. Brother Ahmad, would you please, Ahmad, can you tell the brothers here?
They moved now.
Right. Yeah. They use Islamic meanings, Sharia meanings, and they agree, they make special agreement to make a special understanding of it. Different than the understanding of the meaning that the Qur'an used for. Allah used these words for a meaning, special meaning. And when He revealed these words in His Qur'an, the Prophet and the companions understood a special meaning from that. So you should not be initiating, innovating a new meaning for yourself different than the meaning that the Prophet and his companions understood. If you did not understand, tell me to repeat it. Is it understood? Or I repeat? Repeat. When Allah revealed the word ta'wil in His Qur'an, it meant something. The Prophet understood something from it. The companions understood the same thing. Today we should not be using the Qur'anic word ta'wil and make special agreement to innovate a new meaning to it, different than the meaning that the Prophet and his companions understood. Clear? I don't want anyone to say to me, and then he does not understand. Please. Because this issue is very important. Wallahi. This is, as we say, yani mun'ataf. This is the critical spot where people get deviated. Now, I've been challenging a lot of people before, give me a third meaning among the two meanings of ta'wil mentioned in the Qur'an. Nobody could ever do. I know it. The word ta'wil in the Qur'an means interpretation and what eventually happens. Aqeedah, the fulfillment, the result, the consequence. That's all. Give me a third meaning. They gave a third meaning, which has nothing to do with the Qur'anic meaning. Let's see what they meant by the word ta'wil. Because by this you can catch the secret behind the fitna and the deviation that took place with those people. What is the meaning of the word ta'wil? I've been sitting and trying to translate. You know, my English is not that really good, but at the same time, I tried to translate the meaning of the word ta'wil in their perspection. This is what I mean. According to the theological rhetoric. Ta'wil means changing the direct wanted external meaning. Direct wanted external meaning of the term, or to another meaning which is eternal, not external. Indirect, unwanted meaning. Indirect meaning, unwanted meaning, far away from the term, in which the term does not prove it, but only make that change to the far meaning. Yani we go to that far meaning, we go to that change, we make that change if we find in the context any relevant indication that justify this far meaning. I'll say it in Arabic. صرف اللفظ عن المعنى الراجح إلى معنى مرجوح لا يدل عليه اللفظ لقرينة تقترن به. Is this understood or not? I'll explain it for the last time. And after that, please forgive me. I can't. They bring the term, the word. They bring a word. Okay? Which means directly, for example, when I say head, do you understand what it means, head? But they say we mean by the head something else. And we may take that far meaning if we find in the context something that allow it. Now this last confession is very important for us, because they say if we find in the context what justify this far meaning, we will use that far meaning. In a matter of fact, they don't find anything in the context that allow them to do so. Such as, for example, when they say istawa ay istawla. Istawa, Allah went over the throne, they say Allah had what? Prevailed, invaded, prevailed the throne. So we say to them, wait a minute, that is not what is meant in the ayah. They say, we know. The direct meaning here is that Allah physically, that's what they say, truly, we say truly, not physically. By the way, we don't use the terms that they use, because we confine ourselves in describing Allah by that He described Himself. Because we know, for example, if we say to them, we believe that Allah is over His throne, they say, oh, that means you believe that Allah has a limit. So His limit is over the throne, so He's not under the throne. He is limited to what is over the throne. So you're making a limit to Him. Do you believe that Allah is limited or not? Well, I'm saying what they say to me. I'm saying what they say to me. Do you believe that Allah is body or not? Yes. If you said yes, you're in trouble. If you said no, you're in trouble. We put you in trouble in two cases. There was one big enemy of Ibn Taymiyyah. He said, Ibn Taymiyyah never said Allah is not a body, and that's an accusation against him. Why didn't he say Allah is not a body? Huh? Why? So I said to this man, you never said to us, we saw you thousands of times on the TV, you never said that I am not stupid. That means this is an accusation that you're stupid, because you never said that I'm not stupid. Why didn't you say I'm not stupid, huh? Why didn't you say I'm not crazy? You should say I am not crazy. Now we know that you're... So Ibn Taymiyyah said these types of words, harakat, jism, jihad, all of these words that those people use to confuse us and to discourage us from attributing Allah only what He attributed to Himself. They use these terms to sadden us and to discourage us. Harakat, jihad. Ibn Taymiyyah said these terms that those people use, we do not affirm them, nor we what? What's the opposite of affirm? Negate them. Because when we negate them, we may negate some good meanings that are included in them. And if we affirm them, we'll be affirming some also false meaning that they may come with them. So we only use the terms that Allah used. Why? Because what Allah uses for Himself as attributes, it will never contain any false meanings. But those terms that they bring with them, it may contain some right meanings, but wrong meanings will be penetrated with them. So we don't use them. Nafyan wala ithbatan. We neither affirm, nor we what? Negate. We don't use them. Briefly, we give no consideration to them. What we only consider is what? Affirming what Allah affirmed for Himself. Negating what Allah negated from, that's all. That's our task. So this one who said to Ibn Taymiyyah, you never said that Allah is not a body. That means you believe in yourself that Allah is a body. So same thing we say to them, and I've been waiting for him. I said to him, that was on the TV, I said to him, I'm waiting for you, okay, for 1 year to make your declaration on the TV, sitting on the TV like this, saying, I'm not crazy, I'm not foolish, I'm not stupid, I'm not. Why don't you say that? You never said that you're not crazy. That means you're crazy. So we use the same way that they use in order to show that those people, they are zalim, they are wrongdoers. Okay? Now, as I said, they said, I'll repeat the phrase here. They said that ta'wil means changing the direct, wanted, external meaning of the word to a hidden, unclear, far away meaning from the term. We only do that if we have a relevant indication that justify for us moving from this direct meaning to that indirect meaning. Only if we have, look, this is very important. Only if we find in the context relevant indication. Where is that relevant indication? If they say that Allah stawa means istawla, show me in the context what allow you to do that. To change the meaning from stawa, that means going over, to prevail. Where is it? So they did not fulfill the condition that they put on themselves. لِقَرِينَةٍ تَقْتَرِنُ. They did not fulfill the conditions they set for themselves. When they said we only move from the direct meaning to an indirect meaning only when we find relevant indication in the context that allow us and justify for us doing that. They did not fulfill the condition they set on themselves. And they went playing, twisting, as they say, twisting the meanings of the Qur'an. But they only have one justification. If you ask them, why did you do that? They said, our justification is لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. We are elevating Allah, exalting Allah over what is not fit to His majesty. When you say that Allah is over the throne, that means you made a limit for Allah, etc., etc. Let's break this justification when they say you're making a limit to Allah. So, would you be limiting Allah away from you? Or Allah is limiting Allah? Yani is Allah is limited or not? Is Allah limited or not? Or He is inside you? Do you find a limit between you and Allah? That means Allah is not mixed with you? If you said yes, you have limited Allah also. I want to make sure that you're understanding what I mean. Yeah. Because they say, if you say that Allah is over His throne, but not under also His throne, you're making limit to Allah. We said to them, what's the matter with you guys? You said, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. But now in your mind, you're imagining a body. Yourself, you are mushabbiha. Yourselves, you're making similarity between Allah and His creatures because you're imagining a body. You did not fulfill the ayah that Allah revealed, there is no one that is similar to him. He's different than what you imagine him. Just accept that and affirm what Allah affirmed for himself. Don't involve yourself in confusions that will be leading you to deny what Allah affirmed to himself. This is waswasa from shaitan. If the Ash'ari said this is our justification, we say this is the same justification of the Mu'tazila and the Jahmiyyah before you. They said the same thing. Yet, when you say this is our justification, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, we say to them, you have cut the ayah. Continue the ayah. Because they say, since Allah is not similar to his creatures, we should not be attributing to him some parts and members, just like the members of the body. When you say Allah has hands, you're affirming to Allah bodies and parts. Yes, if he is كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. But since لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, no. That's number one. Number two, سَمِيعٌ بَصِيرٌ. Sami' Basir. Does this indicate members also? Because when you say about me that I'm Sami', that means I have what? What? Ear to hear. Ear to hear. Sight to see. Right? Are those members or not? So the ayah shows you that there is no contradiction between negating the similarity and affirming what Allah affirmed to himself. There is no contradiction between both. So even if you use this ayah will be against you, because you have to accept that Allah is Sami' Basir. And now you're proving to Allah. Either you say, no, He is Sami' Basir, unlike us. So we say to him, and Allah is over his throne, and he's not like us. And Allah has two hands, and his hands are not like us. That's why we say, your measure or your definition that you give regarding Allah's names and attributes should be one standard, not double standard. You should not say about some attributes of Allah, oh, those indicate, they indicate parts and body. Or what about the others? No, those do not. By what law you're making that? This is tahakkum. Tahakkum means dictating. There's no law here. You say, that one indicates body, but the other attribute does not indicate body. This is tahakkum. How do you say tahakkum in English? Yeah. Without law. And that's why, if they said, I'll be with you. If they say, no, he is Sami' Basir, that means he is Alim. But Allah said in some ayat, وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. So that's an extra attribute other than as-Sami'. That's number one. Even if you say he is Alim, okay, that indicates that he is similar to us and we have brain. Can you be Alim without having brain? You can't be Alim without having brain. So you're affirming brain to Allah. You can't run away. I'll be catching you wherever you affirm something to Allah. I'll be following you and chasing you and catching you. You can't run away from that. Unless you made one policy, one method in dealing with Allah's names and attributes. All the names and attributes of Allah, all the attributes of Allah, no matter what they are, despite the similarity in name and meaning, the facts must be different. Do you drink khamr? Inshallah, you will drink khamr. You must. Someday you must drink khamr. Yes or no? Now, he means automatically that there's difference between khamr there and khamr here. If there are two lively issues that are similar in name but different in fact, and that is between creature and another creature, how much more is the difference between the creator and the creature, even if both have the same name? Clear, brother? Yes. Alhamdulillah. By this, a person can be saved from this waswasa that many people cause those layman people to fall in, wallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa and Harun, إِنَّنِي مَعَكُمَا what? أَسْمَعْ وَأَرَى. And the authentic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he was quoting this ayah, وَكَانَ اللَّهُ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا, the Prophet pointed out by his finger to his eye and to his ear. And that is authentic, narrated by Abu Hurairah, authentically. Let's have a look at this text, narrated by Abu Hurairah, that he recited this ayah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا. Allah the Almighty is all-hearing, all-seeing. So Abu Hurairah narrated it, and he said, I saw the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam putting his thumb at his ears. He was pointing on his ear and eye. Abu Dawood, the narrator of this narration, in his book Sunan Abi Dawood, volume 4, page 233, hadith number 4728, he narrated it, and he said, this is a refutation to the Jahmiyyah. Jahmiyyah are those who started this fitna of denying the attributes of Allah, twisting their meaning. Ibn Hajar, the commentator of Bukhari, in his book Fath al-Bari, volume 13, page 373, he said about this narration, إِسْنَادُهُ قَوِيٌّ عَلَى شَرْطِ Muslim. The hadith is authentic, and the value of its authenticity is equal to the conditions of Muslim, the author of Sahih Muslim. So this is the hadith. Now, Ibn Hajar continued by saying, he meant that Allah has hearing and sight. We should not understand by this that Allah has only knowledge. If Allah meant by this, or the Prophet meant by this, that Allah has knowledge, he would have pointed out on his heart, because the heart is the place of knowledge, is the center of the knowledge. Also, Ibn Hajar had to give a notice that Allah, despite that, is exalted over thinking that He is similar to His creatures. Then he added to this hadith of Abu Hurairah another hadith narrated by Uqbah ibn Amir, who said, I heard the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam standing on his pulpit saying, our Lord is Sami' Basir, and he pointed out to his eye. Now Ibn Hajar also said here that the chain of this narration is authentic, is Hasan. Hasan means is the lowest levels of authentic, Sahih. So it is a part of it. If we say that this hadith is Hasan, that means this hadith is authentic. Let's have a look at the other narration here, narrated by Anas radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there is no prophet, but he had warned his ummah, his nation, from the A'war al-Kadhab, the impostor, Antichrist, which the Prophet described him as A'war, which means Sikkim. It doesn't mean he's one-eyed. One sound-eyed, yes, but it doesn't mean that Allah created him with one eye. No, some people think it that way. He has two eyes, but one of them is damaged. So, the Prophet said there is no prophet, but had warned his nation from the A'war al-Kadhab. Note here, the Prophet is saying, he is Sikkim, and your Lord is not Sikkim. In another narration, which Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, the commentator of Bukhari, narrated it, considered it to be authentic, Hasan, but also I found the same statement in Sahih al-Bukhari, which says, we know that the Prophet said, this man, this impostor, Antichrist, is a Sikkim, but your Lord is not Sikkim. And the Prophet pointed out by his hand to his eye. And the Prophet pointed by his hand to his eye. Fath al-Bari, volume 13, page 373. And the hadith is the first hadith in Sahih Muslim, hadith number 389. The other hadith is 7376. It is in Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith number 7376. Tell me, what will you be saying about Prophet Muhammad now? Mujassim? Mushabbih? Kafir? Al-Shahristani, he said that the Salaf said if anybody does this, you know, if they pointed by their finger to the eye and the ear when they say that Allah has, you know, Allah can see and can, this finger should be cut off. I've hoped that he did not say that. Maybe if I was like Umar at that time, at his time, I would have been cutting his own finger by saying that, because the Prophet said it, and you can't say that the Prophet's finger should be cut because he said that. Can't be. So why people easily can fall in this trap? Because people naturally, they know these things, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is different than His creatures. Even if Allah used the same words, naturally people know that. When your mother says to you, Allah ma'ak ya abni, may Allah be with you. Your mother was not graduate from Sorbonne University to differentiate between Allah ma'ak, that means may Allah go with you, or may Allah be with you in His support. No, she knows that automatically.
There's a big confusion. These people who don't accept personalism, but in the meantime they call themselves al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah. This is the big confusion.
Sahih. They always call themselves Ahl-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah. They confuse people by that. In matter of fact, a claim will not be left alone. That's why there should be a struggle between people and falsehood, between truth and falsehood. There is a struggle. We're not going to leave those people by claiming that they're Ahl Sunnah, while they are deforming the way of the Sunnah under the banner and the name of Ahl Sunnah. طيب. Now here there's an important point. كل باطل لا بد له من زينة وزخرف. كل باطل. Every falsehood must be having some decoration and adornment to adorn, to decorate the evil. Every evil. For example, the decoration of the Christian ideology is what? Allah wanted to ransom His people. He loves His people. He doesn't want them to suffer. That's why He sent His only one begotten Son. Okay? To die for the sins of people. God loves His creatures. God loves the sons of Adam. And He wanted to forgive them. And the only way to forgive them is to send His own Son, which is Himself, but not Himself. But they are the same, but they're not. But one of them died, but the other one doesn't die. Okay? He sent His Son, which is Himself as well. His Son, which is Himself as well, to die on behalf of people's sins. He loves me and you. That's why He died for me and you. That's why they say it. So they put it in an emotional way so people can digest it. You have to put some pepper and salt in the evil in order to be able to be digested. Otherwise it cannot be digested. Now, so this is the adornment of Trinity. The adornment of Khawarij is that they say you should be ruling by Allah's Sharia, Allah's law. But by using that banner, they killed Ali ibn Abi Talib, and they killed Uthman bin Affan, and they accused those great two companions that they did not apply the Sharia of Allah. They went against it. They killed Ali and Uthman by this justification. And that's why when they said that to Ali, Ali said to them, Kalimatu haqqin urida biha batil. This is a word of truth, but you intended you intended something wrong with it. وَزِينَةُ الرَّافِضَةِ حُبُّ أَهْلِ الْبَيْتِ. And the decoration of the Shia's false doctrine is we love Ahlul Bayt. And that's why they worship Ahlul Bayt. They crawl to the graves of Ahlul Bayt. They ask them apart from Allah. They say that Ali, whoever die, every person die in the world, at the moment of his death will be seeing Ali. How many Ali we have? Thousands of people die by the one day. So Ali was standing at their death, all of them. And Ali will be the one to say to the people, this one go to hell, this one go to Jannah. The hisab of people. No. That's why they said, and I have this video with me here. He said, even the Prophet Muhammad, he cannot enter Jannah except by suck. How do you say suck in English? A certificate given to him. تصريح.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله لا يعبر أحدكم الصراط إلا وبيده صك من علي بن أبي طالب. زين. فسأله واحد من علمائنا قالوا له حتى رسول الله؟ قال هم حتى رسول الله. هذه مهمة، يعني الأمير موكل يوم القيامة أنه قسيم الجنة والنار، خلصت وظيفة معين بوظيفة.
Even the Prophet Muhammad. Oh, come on. So their love to Hassan and Ali and Hussein caused them to call them their children Abd Ali, Abd al-Hassan, Abd al-Hussein. Oh Ali, oh Hassan, oh Hussein, help me. So with every falsehood there must be something to decorate. The decoration of the Jahmi, Mu'tazili, Ash'ari is this: ننزه الله عما لا يليق به. We elevate Allah, we exalt Allah over what is not fit to His Majesty. And by this banner, by this decoration, they negated all Allah's names and attributes, or most of them. Now this is, there is nothing called 100% evil. Even the revelation, even the spying of the jinn, when they spy in the heaven to get some news, they bring some true news and they mix. That's why the companions said to the Prophet ﷺ, they said, those people, the fortune tellers, they tell us about things that occur truly. He said, yes, they get some good news, true news, not good news, true news from the heaven by the jinn, and the jinn mix with it many, many false things. The Prophet was asked about a prostitute that collect money by prostitution in order to provide orphans and needy people. تزني وتتصدق. The Prophet ﷺ said, ليتها لم تزني ولم تتصدق. I have wished that she neither fornicated nor she donated. But the best decoration and adornment is the adornment of the Salafi people when they fulfill this da'wah and they beautify it with their good manners. Oh, because this is the truth which it does not need to be beautified. It's perfect by itself, but some people may disguise it by their ignorance, by their lack of morality, and that happens. The word ta'wil, and the way they make it, it is wrong, it is not accepted. Even by using this definition, there is in the same definition what we can use against them when they say, yes, this is a far meaning, not wanted directly from the text, but only if we find a relevant indication to it, we can bring that meaning. while you don't find anything in the context that allow them to do that. And with the ta'wil they make, they have a lot of contradictions. For example, there is an authentic hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be putting his foot in hell. This is in Bukhari. Now those people, they came and said, Qadam. There might be a creature that Allah will be creating him, calling him Qadam, foot, and will put him in hell. Poor foot. Why did Allah put that poor foot inside hell? Well, He punished him for what? For what? Or when they said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala laughed. The Matridi and the Razi, they said there's something wrong with the word yadhak. No, the term is yudhik. That means Allah will let His angels laugh. Yudhik, not yadhak. There must be some mistake in Sahih al-Bukhari regarding this. There must be some mistake. It should be by dhamma. Yudhik. Yani He make others laugh. Because Allah doesn't laugh. Okay. Is it true? What? He was telling them jokes? So the angels were laughing? Or there's another hadith which is also in Sahih Bukhari, that one of the rabbis, he stood up and said, "Oh Muhammad, we have read in the Torah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifts the heavens by one finger and the earth by one finger." And he mentioned many things that Allah lift by His fingers. Then the Prophet smiled. And he said, "Ma qadarullah haqqa qadrih." The Prophet laughed, smiled, and he said, they did not value Allah His due value. They picked this up and they said, you see, the Prophet was very angry with him. He smiled and he was saying, SubhanAllah, what are those people? They did not value Allah as should be valued. Some other scholars came and said, Ajallallahu nabiyyana. The Prophet is higher than that. That he can see something, he can hear something that looks like kufr, yet he does not criticize it. How come the Prophet hears a word of kufr and he only say and make some indication by a smile? By a smile he shows us that the rabbi said something wrong. No, what the rabbi said was true. And the fingers of Allah are not like our fingers. I'll bring you something that you usually know. Al-qulubu bayna. So, did the Prophet criticize what the rabbi said? If this is so, how come the Prophet himself proves for Allah what? Fingers as well. The only thing that you don't recognize is when the devil attacks you with this doubt. Fingers? Does he look like his creatures? There are people who, I don't know if you've heard those Mu'tazila now, they are placed in Oman. They are ibadis. Yesterday I asked them a question and that question paralyzed them. And they could not give an answer to that. They deny that Allah will be seen at the Day of Judgment. They say, no, Allah cannot be seen. I have long debates with them, but yesterday I just put that simple question to them and it really destroyed them, ruined them. Do you like to see Allah or do you hate to see Allah? That's all. Simple question. One of them said to me, I don't like to see Allah, but I like to meet Him. He said, I answered, do you give me a gift? I said, yes. He said, what is my gift? I said to him, Kafir bidaraja jayyid jiddan. Very good in blasphemy. Very good in blasphemy. How can a person? I said to him, look, even the Buddhist, if you ask a Buddhist or a Hindu and you ask him, if you go to him and ask him, do you like to see your God? He will never say to you, I hate to see God. What's the matter with you guys? You say La ilaha illallah. And yet we see with you what we don't see with Christians and Jews. Let's go with the explaining of al-Tahaawiyah. Al-Tahawi said, وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ إِلَيْهِ فَقِيرٌ. And everything to Allah is dependent, poor. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ أَنْتُمُ الْفُقَرَاءُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ هُوَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. O men, you are all poor to Allah, and only Allah is Al-Ghani, Al-Hamid. What's the meaning of Al-Ghani, Al-Hamid? Al-Ghani is the rich. Al-Hamid, praiseworthy. Praiseworthy, yes. Another ayah, which I love too much. ها أنتم هؤلاء تدعون لتنفقوا في سبيل الله فمنكم من يبخل ومن يبخل فإنما يبخل عن نفسه والله الغني وأنتم الفقراء وإن تتولوا يستبدل قوما غيركم ثم لا يكونوا أمثالكم. I don't know what activates in your hearts when you hear this in Arabic. I know you like they like the tone, the music, right? But it's not everything. There are people who are taken by the music only, but not by the effectiveness of the words. So once, one person was saying, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. So people around, they go with what? With a tone. It did not affect them much. But in another ayah, he raised his voice with it. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْمَحِيضِ. La! They raised their voices. What was the ayah he's talking about? They're asking you concerning the menses. So people are affected by what? By the tone. But I don't know what happened with you when I was reciting, because this ayah, it really affects the depth of my heart, especially when I beautify my voice with it, and my heart is really affected by its beautiful meanings. Here you are, those who are invited to spend in the cause of Allah, but among you are those who withhold out of greed. But whoever withholds, only he withholds benefits from himself. And Allah is the free of need, while you are the needy, the poor. And if you turn away, that means you refuse follow the way of Allah. And if you turn away, He will replace you with another people. Then they will not be the like of you. We need to struggle for Allah. He doesn't need us. We need Him. If we do good, if we spend, we're spending for the benefit of ourselves. If you donate, you're donating for yourself. I've seen one Saudi businessman, very rich, and we've been talking about the importance of publishing one of my books, and he said, how much it costs? I said, something like 100,000, 120,000. He said, make it more. And instead of 1,000 or 3,000, he said, make them 5,000 copies. I said, okay. Then afterwards, he came and said to me, I don't know how to be appreciative for the favor you did on me. I said, what favor? He said, you enabled me to make my donation. That's a favor from you on me. I really thank you for that. Where can you find some people like that in this world? There are still people like that. Now, so you are all poor to Allah, and Allah is the only rich, free from the need of anyone. We are poor, weak. But there are people who prove for their awliya, for their mashayikh, big power, or for those whom they worship. You know, Christians say that Jesus said, I have given authority, my authority was given to me on in heaven and on earth. The whole universe, I've been given authority over it. Right? Well, some people, they debated this and they said to them, so it was given to him. So it was not with him from the first time. Something was given to him. So he's not God. Even if you say that, he's not God, because he's saying it was given to me. That means it's not mine. So how can someone be called God while he was given the authority? You should be worshipping the one who gave him the authority. Like once someone wanted to debate with me, he just threw a word and he went. He said, my way is Jesus. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can go to God except through me. So Jesus is my God. I said, look, but the word you mentioned proved that he's not God. Because he said, no one go to him except through me. So he distinguished himself from God. He said, no one can go to God except through me. Thank you. This was an evidence against you from you. So everyone who proves or affirms or allege any kind of power for the one whom he worship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must let him, Allah will let him necessarily, because I don't like to say Allah must. I don't like to use that word. Necessarily we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them believe in the contrary of what they claim. For example, so Christians believe that Jesus was given what? Authority over the heavens and the earth. Alright. Where is that authority when he was running away from the Roman soldiers and he was hiding? And he was invisible. Sometimes he show himself to people, sometimes he become what? Invisible. Why he has to run away? And until when they captured him, they put him on the cross, they spitted on him, they put the thorn on his head, he was almost naked, and they said, alright, if you're the Son of God, yalla, save yourself. So Christians cry. For what? For the death of Jesus, for the suffer of Jesus. Yet they claim that he's God. You see the contradiction? The Shia, in Ashura what they do, they keep crying for what? For the suffering of Ahlul Bayt, the suffering of Hussein. He got killed with his all relatives, etc. They cry. And they cry for Ali. They say Abu Bakr and Umar they did not enable him to get the leadership directly from the Prophet. So he was poor, yes. What about Hussein? He was poor. What about all the 12 Imams? They were all, Al-Kadhim, Muawiyah put the poison for him. This Imam, he was poisoned. This Imam was poisoned. They got killed. They were persecuted. They were weakened. Okay, no problem. What about the last one, number 12? He had problem. He had to stay in the cellar, in the well, down for 1,300 years. Until now, he can't get out. Why not? There's the Shia state now. There's Iran. There's a big government now. If he doesn't appear now, when will he be appearing? If he did not appear now, this is the best time for him. Iraq is under their control. Iran is under their control. When will he be appearing? He's still persecuted? Look, if he until now is still persecuted, that means there's something wrong. Maybe Khamenei threatened him that if you... if you come, that means you're going to be malfunctioning my own position. So you have to stay down. So everybody, when they make themselves worshippers for something, servants, they claim that he has a great power, as Khomeini said. He said in his book Al-Hukuma Al-Islamiyya, the Islamic State, page number 52, that our Imams, lahum wilayatun takwiniya, universal power. Universal power. تخضع لها جميع ذرات الكون. That all, even the atoms, what? They go under the control of this universal power that the Imams have. Where's universal power? You're crying for them. You say they've been poisoned, and Ali could not get his leadership from the Prophet ﷺ, etc., etc. And the last one, since 1,300 years, he's still in the cellar down, and he can't get out. Why? They mentioned in their books, the book Al-Ghayba for At-Tusi, that he fears the sword from the Abbasi Khilafah. Wake up, Sahannum. Sahannum, wake up. There's no more Khilafah, Abbasi Khilafah. Even the Uthmani Khilafah has vanished. So how come he's still afraid? Look, if he thinks that the Abbasi Khilafah is still available until now, that means he doesn't know what's going on in the world. So every people that claim that those whom they worship, they have a big power, at the same time, they must fall in what is contrary to their allegation. Yes, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His power is available and it has no contradiction. Allahu Akbar. وعادا وثمود وقد تبين لكم من مساكنهم وزين لهم الشيطان أعمالهم فصدهم عن السبيل وكانوا مستبصرين. Allah is talking about those people that have passed. عاد, ثمود, وقارون وفرعون وهامان. He's mentioning one by one. ولقد جاءهم موسى بالبينات فاستكبروا في الأرض وما كانوا سابقين. Allah said, and we destroyed Ad and Thamud, and it has become clear to you from their ruined dwellings. The Prophet said, ﷺ, never pass by these destroyed spots, but you should be crying. If you have to pass by, in any case, pass by while you're crying, remembering what Allah had done to them. And Allah had given them much, much greater ever power than what we have today. They were making the big mountains as houses for them. They were digging them. Did they have drills? No. Did they have poklanes? Trucks? They were able to do it. They had their own way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them to. But despite their places were extremely secured, but Allah sent the wind to them. Nothing remained except their houses only. The Prophet foretold them, prophesied to them that your punishment will be by the air, because they were so arrogant and haughty in their power, to the extent that the Prophet said, وَإِذَا بَطَشْتُمْ بَطَشْتُمْ جَبَّارِينَ. And when you strike as tyrants, rudely, brutally. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I like that. فَكُلًّا أَخَذْنَا بِذَنْبِهِ. After mentioning Fir'aun, Qarun, Haman, Ad, Thamud, the Prophet of those people said to them, your punishment will be by the air, by the wind. We are the strongest people. Will be punished by the air? Where's the air? Finish. We killed the air. They were so arrogant. Then Allah sent عليهم الريح العقيم ما تذر من شيء أتت عليه إلا جعلته كالرميم. There is nothing that this wind passes by, but it makes it just like dust. Even mountains, anything, it passes by. What do you expect the measurement of this kind of wind? 500 kilometers speed? Subhanallah al-Azim. So look at the beautiful ayah. فَكُلًّا أَخَذْنَا بِذَنْبِهِ. So each we seized for his sin. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ أَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِ حَاصِبًا. And among them were those upon whom we sent a storm of stones. Storm of stones. Storm of stones. Can you imagine that? وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ أَخَذَتْهُ الصَّيْحَةُ. Some others we have taken them, they were seized by the blast from the sky. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ خَسَفْنَا بِهِ الْأَرْضِ. And among them were those whom we drowned because the earthquake, that the earth swallowed them. Like what? Qarun. فَخَرَجَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ فِي زِينَتِهِ. He went out to his people with his full adornments and decoration. To the extent that people said, oh, we wish that we have what Qarun has. He's a very lucky man. Look at that. And suddenly, the earth swallowed him. Then the same people said, Alhamdulillah that we were not with him. If we were with him, we would have been taken. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, we were not joining that Qarun. No. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيَظْلِمَهُمْ وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. Allah had never wronged them, but they were themselves wronging against themselves. The next ayah, which is so beautiful as well. مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذ بيتا. Is that correct? Yes? اتخذت or اتخذ? Today scientifically they have proven that the only builder of the house among the spiders is the female only, not the male. Good for us, bad for them. The females must build their houses, not the males. That's why Allah said, اتخذت. No, I mentioned it deliberately like that. Okay? There's a president last century. His name is Marcos. He died. I think you've heard of him. Filipino president. Yeah. He was a mass killer. He was a mass killer. He killed a lot of Muslims in the Philippines. And he was a taghut, tyrant, a big tyrant. He loved a dog. He has a dog that he loved him much. And he forced the parliament to give their approval, signature, when his dog died, that this dog should be buried in the graveyard of the kings and the presidents. There's a special, very high class graveyard, which doesn't make any difference to them when they are under the ground being punished by Allah. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, he forced them to give their signature that this dog should be buried in the graveyard of the kings and the presidents. And they had to. Anyone refuses will be killed. So they signed. And he buried his dog there. But once he died, those people of the Congress in the Philippines, they wanted to retaliate. Now, there is a need for them to give their signature that this Marcos should be buried in the graveyard of the presidents, but until now they said no. Since 1981, until now, he is in the freezer while his dog is enjoying being in the graveyard of the presidents. This is the job of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the work of Allah. So Allah is the only rich and we are all poor to Him. Also he says خلق الخلق بعلمه, he created the creation with his knowledge. وقدر لهم أقدارا, and he appointed destinies for those he created. وضرب لهم آجالا, and he granted them fixed terms of spans, lifespans. So everything is with qadar, taqdeer, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As he said, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا عِندَنَا خَزَائِنُهُ وَمَا نُنَزِّلُهُ إِلَّا بِقَدَرٍ مَعْلُومٍ. And there is not a thing but with us are its dispositories. And we do not send it down except according to a known specified measures. And he said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنَّا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِقَدَرٍ. Everything we created in a great significant measure. Also in another ayah, الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض ولم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك وخلق كل شيء فقدره تقديرا. And he has created each thing and determined it with precise determination. Precise determination. Now these are some verses that I love and I want to recite before you. This kind of study about Allah's attributes is very important. Why? It increases the fear in our hearts when we know about Allah's perfect attributes. And it grows up the eagerness. It makes us so eager to meet with Allah at the day of judgment without fitna, غَيْرَ مَفْتُونِينَ فِي دِينِنَا. With a meeting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to us, enter. ادخلوا الجنة أنتم وأزواجكم تحبرون. Enter you, Jannah, you and your families, with great delight and cheerfulness. This ayah is so beautiful. ولو بسط الله الرزق لعباده لبغوا في الأرض ولكن ينزل بقدر ما يشاء إنه بعباده خبير بصير. And if Allah had extended excessively provision for His servants, they would have committed tyranny throughout the earth. But He sends it down in an amount which He wills. Indeed, He is of His servants acquainted and seeing. وهو الذي ينزل الغيث من بعد ما قنطوا وينشر رحمته. Ya Allah, how delightful are these verses, wallahi. And it is He who sends down the rain after they had despaired and spreads His mercy. وهو الولي الحميد. And He is the protector, the praiseworthy. Subhanallah, very beautiful. Another ayah. إن الله فالق الحب والنوى يخرج الحي من الميت ومخرج الميت من الحي ذلكم الله فأنا تؤفكون. Indeed, Allah is the cleaver of grain and the date seed. He brings the living out of the dead and brings the dead out of the living. That is Allah. So how are you deluded? فالق الإصباح وجعل الليل سكنا. He is the cleaver of daybreak and has made the night. والشمس والقمر حسبانا. He makes it as a rest for and the sun and the moon for calculation. ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. This is the determination of the exalted in might, the knowing. These verses are really impressive. وفي الأرض قطع متجاورات وجنات من أعناب وزرع ونخيل صنوان وغير صنوان يسقى بماء واحد ونفضل بعضها على بعض في الأكل إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون. لا إله إلا الله. That's so beautiful. And within the land are neighboring plots and gardens of grapevines and crops and palm trees, growing several from a root of otherwise, watered with the same water. But we make some of them exceed others in quality of fruit. Yani, they differ. They differ in their colors, but they were given the same water. So how did the same water court the variety of types and colors? The same water. يسقى بماء واحد.
They call selectivity.
Selectivity, yeah. Subhanallah. No. So these ayat, I know that it may take a little bit time with you, but hearing these ayat with its explanation, it's another type of understanding the doctrine that affects our heart. If you investigate the usual doctrine mentioned by those people of theological rhetoric, you'll find it very solid and dry, that does not affect the heart. It makes no effect to the hearts of people. In matter of fact, the way they take it, in the philosophical way, it causes their hearts to become more solid and more hardened. Now, he said, وَلَمْ يَخْفَ عَلَيْهِ شَيْءٌ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَخْلُقَهُمْ. And nothing about them was hidden from him before he created them. And he knew everything that they would do before he created them. Now all of these things are included to what kind of tawheed? Uluhiyyah or rububiyyah? Rububiyyah. Because people, they know that. By nature, they glorify Allah by nature. Okay? He's great, He's powerful, He creates greens, He creates, He's the controller of everything. All of these things are included in Tawheed. وَلَمْ يَخْفَ عَلَيْهِ شَيْءٌ قَبْلَ. There's nothing that is hidden from Him about what they're going to do. All with details. With details. Look at this ayah. يَوْمَ هُمْ بَارِزُونَ. The day they'll come forth standing. Barizun. They're standing there ready. Naked. Aisha radiallahu anha, she was asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Oh Prophet, oh my goodness, will we be naked, standing? Each one will be looking at the other?" The Prophet replied and said, "Ya Aisha, inna al-amra a'zamu min dhalik." The matter is ever greater than that. The system is different than the system here. And all people are brought, yes, naked, barefooted, cannot speak. They speak hams, like that. They can't speak with a normal voice. Only those who are allowed to speak are the prophets. And every prophet will be saying, Allahumma sallim, Allahumma sallim. They keep saying, Ya Allah, make it safe, Ya Allah, make it safe. And each one will be saying, myself, myself, myself. Except one will be saying, my ummah. Will be concerned about his ummah. And that is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. يوم هم بارزون لا يخفى على الله منهم شيء لمن الملك اليوم لله الواحد القهار. The day they come forth, nothing concerning them will be concealed from Allah, to whom belongs all sovereignty this day. To whom? To whom will belong all sovereignty? To Allah, Al-Wahid Al-Qahar, the one, the prevailing. I remember, for example. They said, you know what they say? They say Allah prevailed the throne after He created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. He prevailed it. They said the evidence is this ayah, وَهُوَ اللَّهُ الْوَاحِدُ الْقَهَّارُ. He said the evidence is this. We say Allah prevailed the throne because Allah described Himself that He is the one, the prevailing. That's why He prevailed the throne. You want to give them applause? No. Why? Because Allah is talking about the factor of the time. He created the heavens and the earth within what? 6? So he's talking about timing, right? And then, ثُمَّ he prevailed. He went over his throne. So if you say after 6 days he prevailed the throne, that means before the 6 days he was not prevailing the throne. But when Allah said that He's Al-Wahid Al-Qahar, He's always Qahar. But you're making Him Qahar after creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days. So the way you bring this as an evidence is false. It's not true. That is why, brothers, some people say, how can you consider learning the sifat, the matter of sifat, as a matter of tawheed, and you put the tawheed of sifat as the third category? We say yes, because if you negate all of these things, you're negating what? You're ruining the system of Allah's names and attributes. Can you imagine? I have refuted a Shia guy, his name is Kamal al-Haydari, in Qanat al-Kawthar. And I made something like 95 episodes on the TV, refuting him. When they brought him, he meant to them the best thing. And they said 10 million riyals for anyone who can refute that man. Wallahi, they made advertisements even at the bus stations, on the buses. Who can challenge and debate this person in Iran? And I refuted him with something like 100 episodes, and he never refuted anything. He never debated anything I refuted. Never. One of the funniest thing he made, I want to show you how ilm al-kalam will be affecting people. He said Allah is one but not by number. Because if you say that Allah is one, the one is less than the two, and the two are stronger than the one. So how can you make Allah little and weaker? The weakest thing is the one. I don't know what kind of man is that. So I said, okay, if he's not one by number, by what then? Give me any. So he was confused and he could not refute. I said, how can you say he's not? That means he's not really one. He's one but not one. And he was in trouble. And now this man, after 4 years, I've been refuting him. 100 episodes in 4 years almost. Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ فَسَيُنْفِقُونَها ثُمَّ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرَةً ثُمَّ يُغْلَبُونَ. Those kuffar, they spend their money to block the way of Allah. They will spend it. Then it will be a matter of regret to them. Then they will be defeated. This man, now, he's refuting Shi'ism. And he's causing them big panic. And they don't know what to do with him. And I was saying in my episodes on the TV, I'll be suing you at the court of Allah the day of judgment. You offered 10 million riyals for anyone who refute him, and I did it. And you owe me at the day of judgment 10 million riyals that you have to pay for me. You did not pay for me. I'll be asking you with Allah the day. Wallahi, I need this 10 million, ya akhi. I can establish a big academic foundation with this 10 million. But they did not give it. But now he's a big trouble for them.
Did the man repent?
No. Some people said to me that secretly, yes. Allahu A'lam. I hope so. Anyway.
Which language did he does speak? Arabic?
Who?
That man.
Yes.
He speak Arabic.
Yes. Yes. But originally he's Iranian. But since he was born in Iraq, he speaks good Arabic. Yeah. وَعَلِمَ مَا هُمْ عَامِلُونَ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَخْلُقَهُمْ. And he knew what they are going to do even before he created them. As I said, al-ilm as-sabiq, the ancient knowledge about what's going to happen. It doesn't mean that Allah had dictated you to do what you're doing. Some people here in Britain, one of those British people, he said to me, did he know that I'm going to disobey him? I said, yes. He said, then why he's creating me? If he knew that I'm going to disobey him, why he created me? So I said to him, since you admitted that he knew that you're going to disobey him, then his knowledge has to come to a fulfillment. It has to come in what? In truth. This is the fallacy of, you have to, these are questions, falsifiable questions. Falsifiable questions. He said, because the question is not correct. If he knew that I'm going to disobey him, why he created me? So simply I said to him, because he knew that you're going to disobey him. You know what? Maybe someday you may stop disobeying him, and he knows that you're going to do that, and he's going to put you in Jannah. So he created you to repent you and to let you enter Jannah. Do that, yalla. Maybe he created you for that. Nobody knows. You should not be interfering in these, because this is a type of arrogance, by the way. But what you should be doing is not to think about what Allah knew about you, because you don't really know what will be the end. Even myself, I'm struggling for my salvation. I look good person now with a beard, mashallah, and I pray and I memorize Qur'an. Nobody knows that a change may take place about me someday, somehow. We're struggling. We should not be thinking about that. Now your task is, your mission is to obey. If Allah knew that you're going to disobey him, so that's why he did not create you, that means you will be saying Allah is ignorant, because what he knew about me did not take place. Did you get the point? So Allah knew what they're going to do before he created them. This is what we call it mughalata. You know the meaning of mughalata? Fallacy. Paragolism. Paragolism. I found another word to the meaning of, to the word mughalata in English, sophism. Alhamdulillah, that's good. Wallahi. Just type the word mughalata in Arabic, seek its translation, you'll find it sophism. That's good. I'm happy with that. As Allah said in this ayah, وَيَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَضُرُّهُمْ وَلَا يَنْفَعُهُمْ وَيَقُولُونَ هَؤُلَاءِ شُفَعَاؤُنَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. And they worship apart from Allah what gives them, what harms them not, nor it gives them benefit. And they say that those are our what? Intercessors with Allah. قُلْ أَتُنَبِّئُونَ اللَّهَ بِمَا لَا يَعْلَمْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَلَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Do you tell Allah about something that he doesn't know on earth? Neither on earth nor in heaven? Subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. It's not the knowledge of Allah that there are intercessors apart from him, but what Allah knows that this is not true. What Allah knows that Abu Jahl is kafir and he's not going to be a believer. That's what Allah knows. وَأَمَرَهُمْ بِطَاعَتِهِ وَنَهَاهُمْ عَنْ مَعْصِيَتِهِ. He ordered them to obey him and forbade them from disobeying him. وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ يَجْرِي بِتَقْدِيرِهِ. And everything is going after Allah's significant what? Determination. وَمَشِيئَتُهُ لَا تَنْفَدْ لَا مَشِيئَةَ لِلْعِبَادِ إِلَّا مَا شَاءَ لَهُمْ. The will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no end, and what he ever wills must take place, and even what people will not take place but after the will of Allah. يضل من يشاء وبعض فما شاء لهم كان وما لم يشاء لم يكن. Whatever he wills for them, it is, it becomes. وما لم يشاء, if there's something that he did not will for them, it doesn't become. يهدي من يشاء ويعصم ويعافي من يشاء. He guides whom he will. ويعصم ويعافي من يشاء. What's the meaning of ويعصم من يشاء? He guides whom He will, and He يعصم. Yes. Prevent you from. That's why the word Isma had caused a big confusion with the Shia. They think that Isma means perfection, not protection. So when they call someone Ma'soom, that means he's perfect from committing a sin. That's not true. There's a difference between protection and prevention. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the kuffar, مَا لَهُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ عَاصِمٍ. There is no protector for them apart from Allah. فَمَنْ يَنصُرْ يَعْصِمُنِي قُلْ مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَعْصِمُكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ. Say, who is he that will be preventing you against Allah? إِنْ أَرَادَ بِكُمْ ضَرًّا أَوْ أَرَادَ بِكُمْ نَفْعًا. If he intended with you harm or intended for you what? Benefit. قُلْ مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَعْصِمُكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ. That is why, brothers, this word Asma, subhanallah, had caused them a big deviance, dalal. What is the basis of their dalal? Is this ayah. يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك. O messenger, convey what have been revealed to you from your Lord. وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت رسالته. If you did not do, that means you have not conveyed His message. وَاللَّهُ يَعْصِمُكَ مِنَ النَّاسِ. This is the clear-cut evidence for them about the issue of Asma. وَاللَّهُ يَعْصِمُكَ. And they don't consider the word مِنَ النَّاسِ. They don't consider that. What's the meaning of يَعْصِمُكَ مِنَ? That means He'll be preventing you from them. What's the meaning from them? That means from their harm. Because this is the reward of Allah for those who are serious in conveying the message. Allah will protect them. Why? Because Allah wants us to convey the message. So there are other people. There are other people waiting for us. If we did not convey them the message, they'll go to hell. Look, I have a picture in the Hindu market. They have a lot of idols, gold-plated idols, and they have, because they sell them, they sell these idols. They write an ad, buy one and take one for free. Yani buy one god and take another god for free. What's going on? I was in the Philippines once, and I entered a shop, a Christian shop, and they have a lot of idols for Jesus. And I said to him, "Oh, I'm interested in that doll. I want to buy that doll." He said, "I'm sorry, it's not doll." I said, "What?" He said, "This is an idol." I said, "What?" He said, "This is God." I said, "Well, I can see it as a doll." He said, "No, this is God." I said, "Shame on you. You believe that this is God?" He looked at me in shame and he was smiling. He said, "I understand. I understand your point." Once I was also in Singapore, and there's a man called Sayyid Baba. Have you heard of that man, Sayyid Baba? Yeah, with big hair, and he's tricky. He goes like this, and the water falls between his fingers, etc. So they had a VHS. You remember that time? There's what do you call the recording? The tape recording, VHS, video. And they put videos for him, his miracles, So I came to them deliberately and I said to them, "Who's that?" They said, "This is Sayyid Baba." I said, "So what is he?" They said, "He's God." I said, "But my God is so beautiful. This man look ugly. Look at his hair." They said, "You get out of this, this section." They have a special section. They said, "Get out now, or we're driving you out." I said, "I don't care. Why you get angry with me when I said my God is beautiful? Look at him. He's ugly. This kind of challenge, I like it. You know, it's intellectual. So the word asma, yes, the word asma. Wallahu ya'asimuka min, Allah will prevent you from people. This is the reward of those who make it seriously in conveying the message. Lost sheep of the world. No one teach them. No one give them message. If you're not serious in delivering the message, you may be punished by Allah. But if you're serious in conveying the message, you may be protected by Allah, and Allah will be preventing you. As Allah said to His Prophet, Balligh, and then He said to him, Wallahu ya'simuk. Convey, and Allah will prevent you. After the revelation of this ayah, the Prophet was in his tent, and he had many guards out of the tent. So he said to his guards, get back home, enjoy with your families. Allah had revealed to me an ayah, and He pledged to me that He will be preventing me. Get back home. So I like this ayah, which gives a promise, which gives an order, and then it gives a promise. You should convey, we are ummatu ad-da'wah. We are the nation of da'wah. Yes, we are the ummah of ijabah as well. When we call ummah of ijabah, that means we are the ummah that had responded the Prophet ﷺ already. But what I mean by that, because we divide the nations into two. Ummatul da'wah wa ummatul ijabah. We are the nation of ijabah, we have responded. But ummatul da'wah, that means all the other nations that need to be given da'wah by us. So we are also the ummah of da'wah, which means we are the nation that are entrusted to convey the message of Rasulullah. We're supposed to be the messengers of the messenger of Allah. We should be spreading, doing all of our efforts to give da'wah with knowledge. Not to say we are tabligh, but we don't have the essence of tabligh. No. That's we not criticize with our love and respect of our brothers, the tablighi people. Despite our love and respect to them, but we say, you should seek knowledge. Because an empty cup will never be satisfying me from thirst. You should be qualifying yourself in order to be able to, طيب. So remember this. Asma, it means prevention, not protection. If you remember the wife of Al-Aziz, when she said about Yusuf, وَلَقَدْ رَاوَدْتُهُ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ فَاسْتَعْصَمْ وَلَئِنْ لَمْ يَفْعَلْ مَا أَمُرْهُ لَيُسْجَنَنْ. She said, and I sought to seduce him, but he firmly refused. He firmly refused. فَاسْتَعْصَمْ. Sometimes the translation, if you know Arabic, you'll find out that the translation is different. He firmly refused. If they said here, he sought refuge with Allah to prevent him, because the literal meaning, the true meaning is that he sought prevention. Ista'sam. What is the prevention that he was seeking? قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تغفر لي وترحمني وأستغفر الله وإلا تصرف عني كيدهن أصب إليهن. The next ayah, look at the next ayah. Yusuf said, Oh my Lord, prison is more to my liking than that to which they invite me. And if you do not avert me from their plan, I may incline toward them. I may fall in this fitna. So if Ma'soom means sinless, tell me about Yusuf, who is a prophet. Didn't he know about himself that he's Ma'soom? He's saying here, Oh Allah, if you do not swerve away from me this plot, I may incline to them and fall in the fitna. يهدي من يشاء ويعصم ويعافي من يشاء. Allahu Akbar. I like that when Musa took with him 70, right? 70. And they stood upon the mountain, and the mountain started to shake. Allahu Akbar. I love these words of Musa alayhi salam. In hiya illa fitnatuk. Allahu Akbar. So beautiful. And Musa chose from his people 70 men for our appointment. And when the earthquake seized them, he said, my Lord, if you had willed, you could have destroyed them before and me as well. Would you destroy us for what the foolish among us had done? This is not but your trial and fitna, by which you send astray whom you will and guide whom you will. Anta waliyuna, you are our protector. Faghfir lana warhamna, wa anta khairul ghafirin. So beautiful. تضل من تشاء تضل إن هي إلا فتنتك تضل بها من تشاء وتهدي من تشاء. It is your fitna by which, so Allah uses the fitna by which He guides whom He will, and He causes some others to be misguided, and the decision He makes by His ilm, internally and externally. He knows what occurs in the hearts of people. How many blunt, kind, sensitive people, sincere people, we see them, we say, oh, we wish that those are Muslims, but something is happening with them that causes them until now to be non-Muslims. We don't know what Allah knows. So that's why Allah does not misguide or guide except by His knowledge and His wisdom and His perfect will. وَيُضِلُّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَخْذُلُ وَيَبْتَلِي عَدْلًا. He misguides whom He will, and He guides whom He will, and He tests whom He will. عَدْلًا, that means all what He makes is a matter of justice, there's no doubt. وَكُلُّهُمْ يَتَقَلَّبُونَ فِي مَشِيئَتِهِ بَيْنَ فَضْلِهِ وَعَدْلِهِ. And all are altered under His will, between His grace and His justice. That's why we say to Allah, oh Allah, deal with us by your mercy, not by your justice. We don't want Allah to deal with us by His justice. Is that correct?
Because we are all sinners.
What if we're not sinners? Even akhi, if we're not sinners, our obedience will never be equal, will never reach to be equal to the grace of Allah. Always the grace of Allah is ever greater than our good deeds. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, لن يدخل أحد منكم الجنة بعمله. قالوا ولا أنت يا رسول الله؟ قال ولا أنا إلا أن يتغمدني الله برحمة منه. None of you will be entering Jannah by, that means merely by his action. They said, not even you? He said, no, but by the mercy of Allah. Unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be grant me a favor from Himself only. Does mean that working is not important? It is important, but it's not enough. Yani, when I say you will not enter Jannah by your work, yes, merely by your work. Still, the favor of Allah is more than your action. So if someone like the Prophet said it, the one whom his bones, his legs were swelling because of extreme qiyam at night, and he's saying that. How much more people like us? وَهُوَ مُتَعَالٍ عَنِ الْأَضْدَادِ وَالْأَنْدَادِ. And he's over the partners and the equals. He's over. In Christianity, we can find Christians are contradicting themselves. Sometimes they say, I and my Father are one, and sometimes they say, my Father is greater than me. My Father is greater than me. If they said, I and my Father are one, it can't be. Someone must be greater than the other. Because we always see that Jesus was asking Him, and He died, and He was saying, oh my Father, help me, support me. And they quote also always this ayah, which is not ayah to me. They say, Ili lima shabaktani. That's how it's written in, even in Arabic. They put it in Latin words, letters. Ili lima shabaktani. Or sometimes they say Eli. You can see that they were swerved from Ilahi. Huh? From Ilahi, it became Eli. And they translate it like this, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? So why did he say Eli, lima shabaktani? This Hebrew is very close to the Arabic. Even the structure of Ibri and Arabi. You know, if you substitute ba and put it after letter ra, it becomes Arabi. But if you keep the ba before, it will be Ibri. Hebrew and Arabic are so close. Ili, that means, oh my God. Ilahi. Lima shabaktani, that means, why did you leave me? You did not support me. How can he be one with God while he was saying, why did you leave me? Why didn't you support me? How can they be the same? Christians come really in a naive when they say, the Bible says, I and my Father are one. So why he was seeking his help, and he was blaming his father for not supporting him against his enemies. Let's stop here. وهو متعال عن الأضداد والأنداد at 47. It's number 47, I think. Sometimes some other editions the numbers differ, but here with me it's 47. وهو متعال عن الأضداد والأنداد, and that's why I put here إلى هنا وصلت. إلى هنا وصلت. نعم شيخ. It's time for questions now. Yeah.
No, when he say Eli, which time? When he say
At the end. Before that, when he was on the cross, he said, Ili ma shabaktani.
But he was not on the cross.
Why?
Jesus himself was.
According to Christianity, they say he was on the tree. And every tree to them, they call it cross. So once I was debating with them, I said, so this is a table made of wood. So do you call it cross? Do you call it tree? Because it's mentioned in the Bible that they hang him on the tree. So we were saying to them, tree or cross? Take your choice. So they said, no, but the cross is made of wood, that's why we call it tree. So I said, this table is made of wood, so do you call it tree? Do you call this tree? They said, no, thank you. Bye. Any other question? No questions asked? Please, one question at least. Yes?
Like when you said you want to do.
Tamam.
So,
That's why you are following. You're not proceeding.
so like when I'm disobeying Allah, for example, why is it my fault? Why am I to blame, for example?
Because he gave you the option. وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. We guided him to the two ways. That means he has the full choice to choose. Knowing, just wait, just hold on, please. Knowing before doesn't mean he's imposing on you, he's dictating you, but he knows it before. And you want, it's difficult, I understand it's difficult. But you have to be certain on one thing, that there's no forcing. Because forcing you, dictating you to choose, that means you're not choosing.
I mean, Allah has already chosen what I'm going to do during my life.
He wrote it.
He wrote it.
How did he say? Who told you he had chosen for you what to do? That's wrong statement.
What?
It's wrong statement to say Allah had chosen for me what to do.
Allah has written.
Written doesn't mean he forced you. هذا علمه. Do you speak Arabic? العلم السابق لله لا يعني الجبر. He knows what you're going to do.
Excuse me, there's
Hmm?
Then why would it be your fault?
It should be your fault.
Be to blame for not doing or disobeying something.
You're not making a statement. Look, you're saying if he knows. Before you said if he chose. Now, you don't use that word. But now you say he knows. Thank you for saying he knows. Knowing, it doesn't mean that he had forced you to choose. He gave you. Allah said in the Qur'an, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجَّيْنِ. We guided him to the two ways. Look, this is the true way. This is the false way. Look, in here in the UK, right? They say to you, choose the right answer. Put the right check or
Optional answers.
yeah, optional answers. Okay, and they test you.
And they know the
They-
result of each answer.
Yeah,
If you chosen that, it will
they gave you one wrong, one right.
Yeah, but if they know what my answers are going to be, surely they'll be.
But they don't know. It's only Allah's power that He knows what your answer is going to be, not them. And He's testing you as they're testing you. The difference between them and Allah, that Allah knows what's going to happen in the future. That means He is not, alaykum salam, He is not imposing you, dictating you. He's only knowing what you're going to do. And if the case is different than that, and you're saying why He is punishing me, but he's rewarding you if you do it right, and He's punishing you if you do it wrong. That proves that you have the choice. How can alaykum salam, do you believe that Allah is just and fair?
Yeah.
So how can He punish you if He dictated you to do the evil? Can't be. You can't.
Excuse me, this verse says some creatures was created for her. The ra'a.
Hmm?
Some creatures was created for her. I don't remember the ayah. Something the ra'a.
وهو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون. لا.
لا في آية.
ولقد ذرأنا لجهنم كثيرا من الجن والإنس لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها ولهم أعين لا يبصرون بها. He's talking about those whom Allah created, but because of their following their desire, they become blind while they see. They become deaf while they can hear.
You are not dictated.
No. There's no way. I don't find any ayah that gives any indication to dictation. There's no ayah, nothing. But only I know about ilmullah as-sabiq, the former knowledge of Allah, the knowledge that had preceded your actions. The knowledge that precedes your action doesn't mean that there is a decision that forced you to do the evil, for example. No. العلم السابق لا يلزم منه الجبر. Okay, brother?
Is that a statement?
No, that's what I'm saying. In general, by scanning all the evidences from the Qur'an and the Sunnah, that the former knowledge of Allah about what you're going to do doesn't mean that He dictated you to do what you do. Otherwise, we'd be asking, how can Allah be just and fair? Okay, while He dictated you to what He's going to punish you. Can't be. He gave you the option. Allah is saying to you, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. He gave you the option. That's why the animals, they have one way. That's why they're not going to be punished. But you'll be punished, you and jinn kind. This option, this choicing kind of will is created in the jinn kind and the mankind only, because we are tested. How can He test us while we have no choice? Can't be. نعم طبعا. طيب, yes.
You mentioned that to get us we would never we won't enter Jannah mainly by our deeds. And certainly because the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala they will enter Jannah. So to get that rahmah we have to is the amal means
We will know, because if we want to measure our deeds compare them to the mercy of Allah and the grace of Allah, the grace of Allah will be always more than our actions.
So what if a person says that I don't do it?
Huh?
What if a person says that I don't do any actions?
What if a person decided not to make any action?
Yeah. He says it's Allah's rahmah.
How can he be deserving rahmah while he did not work to Allah, he did not worship even Allah?
It's an action that means
This shows that the person need to work, but even if their work does not reach the level of entering Jannah, it will be by the grace of Allah that Allah will, okay? But the basic factor of acting is commanded. If you don't do, it means you're doing the evil. If you don't do the good, what does it mean? Man lam ya'budillaha abada ghayra. If you don't worship Allah, it means you're worshiping the devil, because by obeying the devil, you're worshiping him against Allah. If you did not worship Allah, what does it mean? That means you're worshiping the devil.
So by your actions reach the mercy that take you to Jannah?
By your actions you can enter Jannah, but by mere actions, that means apart from Allah's grace and mercy, no. Because if you want to enter only, if you want it to be only by your actions, it will not reach. This is what we meant. Okay? بارك الله فيكم. طيب سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.